show. Seeing how the volume is coming in. Slight adjustment to the music audio. That should bring the game audio up to the forefront. We'll get that TV turned on soon, don't you worry. Oh shucks, I didn't see that screen come up. Easy loading back in. No worries. Steam authentication failure. Boo. Okay, fine. Alright, it is that time. Let's get into the new world. Now, I thought I was going to be able to show you a fancy trick right here at the start, which is how to not get kicked from the game. However, I did not pay attention that an AFK screen did still manage to come up eventually. What I have noticed in the game is when you rest or when you're hanging out in your house, you have a chance, or it takes a little bit longer for it to register you as AFK when you're waiting in your house, or if you're waiting in one of the ends. It usually gives you a little bit more of a grace period than I noticed standing at the auction house or for fishing. Alright, let's get right into what. A couple things that we want to take care of right away. Many players returning to the game at any point might get all their houses are due. Now, I highly recommend that you at least log in once a week to be able to do things like this, which is pay your property upkeep. Now, this works on any size house that you have. You shouldn't worry about having the most expensive houses in the game. You can always build up to that, because especially because it's expensive, there's costs associated with it, and you don't necessarily have the income to be able to support some of the habits, so you've got to work with what you have, and it's not that bad to work with the $5,000 houses. One of the reasons being is that your property upkeep is only going to be 50, 60 gold instead of my property upkeeps. These should be higher up to 150, but I have reduced taxes in a lot of the areas that I have my houses. But the most important thing, we're actually going to play a song real quick, because my favorite to play is the Fisherman's Lament. We're going to do territory standing because as we pay our housing taxes, we are gaining territory standing in each of those places. So it's basically free board quests that you can do, town board missions. Everyone always talks about the grind to 60, but the real grind is to 300 territory standing. That is the true power of the Soul Warden. It is kind of the ageless aspect that they have in the game. These Soul Wardens have existed for as long as people can remember on the island. Alright, we're going to go ahead and end that. They're reincarnated, these Soul Wardens, reincarnated and stuck on this island with their enemies. Let's pay the rest of our property upkeep. So we're going to do this two ways. I'll go ahead and port to the house, that way I can show you both ways. The way I like to do is to just, when it is officially expired, I can just go to my menu. I can click on where my house is. I can tell because it's this grayed out icon here. It's about as close as I can get for you. And my face might be in the way here, and there's a pay upkeep button. I will make sure my face is not in the way. Yes, okay, good. Right where the nose is the pay upkeep. And then let me make sure I still got the chat in. So we have a slow chat just so I can have practice coming in with it, and that way people don't spam unnecessary things, because we got a low moderation team at this point. Anywho, the pay upkeep, go ahead and click that. Go ahead and pay our upkeep. You can see it's more expensive than that, 134. And then we're going to go ahead and teleport to Brimstone Sand. So you'll see that I can't actually recall to my house because I haven't paid my upkeep yet. I'm going to go ahead and just fast travel. Now you can scroll over and see what the costs of these are. So to travel anywhere, the reduction to Azoth has just been to 20, and that is a great place to be. They really fixed the traveling costs associated with this game. It was a little unfortunate because this world has really unique biodiversity in each of the areas, and one of the mechanics in this game that's been removed is all the auction houses used to be separate. So each territory could be rich in one resources, and you actually had to go to that town in some way to be able to participate in their markets. They ended up linking all the faction houses together, and that, and then when they also changed Azoth travel as well. So it used to be the heavier your character was here, you can see the total weight capacity that we can have. It used to be the higher this inventory weight was, the more expensive the Azoth travels would be. So instead of paying 20 Azoth, players used to have to pay 600, 800 Azoth. 600 or 800, etc. Now my frames are going to drop a little bit when I'm in town. So I won't be able to show you too much of Brimstone Sands. While we're here, this is a food supply cart, and because the Syndicate, which currently that is the faction that we are a part of, is the Syndicate, and we had a company, and I'll go into what companies are in further detail. And then I did notice one more thing. We gotta remove that starting soon because we are officially started. So don't worry about my attributes right now. They're a mess. What are we looking for? Ah, yes. Alright, so this is a great little menu. You can see that this is grayed out because I haven't paid my property taxes. This tells you all the faction bonuses you get, so you get plus 50 luck and a 10% gathering bonus. These are very important things to note. So the only other things that you get for being a part of the company that owns the territory is you get access to these little carts. So let's go ahead and just harvest this, and you can see that you get a small supply of food. It's some water, just little knickknacks. It's what makes that powerful is which territory owns that. See, because the Syndicate own it, and the Syndicate have been a very popular faction for people to join. On lots of servers, there's a lot of times a Syndicate surge of players. They definitely have numbers. So what I like to point out to players is when the Syndicate own areas like this, or specifically Weaver's Fen, that's when the price of abundance of oil can come in. Now if there's enough Syndicate players that actually come here, they might be getting a lot of cinnamon, so the cinnamon prices might be dropping. Because now there are more Marauders than there are Covenant. And how I would find the best numbers on to see how many players are Syndicate, how many are Covenant, and how many are Marauders is I would actually go to the Steam achievements. Those are only going to be reliable for a little bit longer, because something that I really encourage people to do in this game is to switch factions when your faction is no longer serving you. Because the little knickknacks that we got isn't really game changing. First, let's go pay our upkeep. I wanted to travel physically to the house because I want to show you guys the other way that you can interact with your tax menu. So we're going to go ahead and enter our house here. So we still have access to our house, but we do not have access to our inventory. And then also, if I were to view my inventory in this town, it would be over encumbered. So I lose my bonus storage. I lose my storage chests, which are these actual furniture pieces. So this serves a aesthetic appearance as well as an actual storage for my character. I have another one here, and these are trophies that we can place. So here that I'm in my menu, I can actually hit N to pay my upkeep in this house, and then you can see I can actually abandon the house from this menu. I'm going to go ahead and pay the upkeep. And once again, you can always do that from your menu. You're able to do this within about 19 hours of when your taxes are due. You are not able to do it from the menu when your taxes are about to be due. You do have to visit the physical house. So don't worry, I'm sure there'll be a quality of life update that comes with that eventually. And there may be a quality of life update coming to how we place trophies. But it may never happen. It may just, because currently what has to happen is what I really encourage players having are combat trophies. And the only combat trophy I have is here, and it's a basic corrupted combat trophy. Now let's see if my face is in the way here. Yes, my face is in the way of that description, unfortunately. So I'll read it to you. So this corrupted combat trophy grants a 4% bonus to damage when fighting against the corrupted. So let's go over, we're going to go to attributes, and then we can view our leveling rewards. Your first house you're able to get at level 15, and I do recommend saving up for this house. You're going to need 2,500 gold. It is very doable to do this at level 15. You can very easily get 2,000 gold. I'll show you a couple things that any player can do, and I'll also be showing some craftings for lower level players, because we'll just be making a couple low level tools for people and throwing them out on the market. Oh, I'll make sure to mute when I take my sippy sips. So a lot of people get focused on end game content. I think that really abandons the plenty of players that play this game more casually or only have a few hours that they can commit to this game a day. And I really do care about those players, and I want to show how you can maximize your time. And really, you just gotta enjoy the story. It is more fleshed out than ever before. They have reworked some of the starting areas, and it benefits you to learn how these enemies attack, because every enemy, you can tell by their weapons that they carry, they have a certain move set. And this is going to carry over into your expeditions and later in your mutations. There's a dodge mechanic in this game, and you can outrun your opponents with haste. Haste is a very underused perk. Sometimes you gain haste when you crit strike, for example, and you can outrun NPC players. I think I overspoke on that one. Anywho, your first house available at level 15. I highly recommend to get that. And then working on not getting your luck trophies just yet. You don't need to worry about getting loot luck. Focus on getting your combat trophies first, because you will be defeating all your enemies quicker. And if you're defeating all your enemies quicker, you are leveling up faster. Now you officially become a Soul Warden when you make your Azoth staff. And this is one of those quests that I really recommend that you make use of the auction house. You're going to need some items such as some silver ingots and a couple other materials. And instead of going out and mining those, if you want to streamline your leveling process, it is very inexpensive to just buy a few off the market. Now, another really underrated feature, and something that's been improved upon, is that you can set a respawn outside of any landmark. So what is a landmark? Each one of these is a type of landmark, and you can see how there's kind of a checkered zone, Any chests that are associated with this landmark are going to appear inside this yellow zone, but you'll have to place a camp outside this zone. This will be a permanent respawn point until you're exited the game for several hours. Your camp will despawn, and you'll have to place a new one. When your Soul Warden is defeated, you don't die. Your soul just returns to its home, or it returns to the camp. So it is lore that your character is defeated, but they cannot actually die unless they are corrupted or they're lost. And there might Blighted is another one. So very few enemy types that can... There are only a few enemy types, but they're very dangerous to Soul Wardens. Alright, we were talking about... questings and landmarks. Ah yes, we're going over the leveling rewards. And what you can make at these camps that is going to be very, very helpful to your leveling process is that you are going to be able to make corruption potions. And corruption potions are really good at dealing with sorcerers or enemies that are dealing corruption magic damage to you. Those corruption potions, you use water and a couple base materials that you can often find scattered off the road in the areas that you are. You can use those to make your potions, or you can just buy a whole stack off of the market. Now in this game, when you are first starting out, you're not going to have this much inventory space at all. And don't worry about having a lot of bag space. That is not your focus right now as you're leveling up. If you have, my opinion on it is that if you are maximizing your storage pre-60, you are not earning enough money. The only limited resource in this game is your storage. There is a way to overcumber your storage, and we'll go into that. It is a type of market play where you make a buy order, so you can have up to 100 buy orders. And if your storage is not over encumbered, you're allowed to make auctions, and you can place buy orders that get directly deposited in your inventory in the town that you make them. Doing this allows your inventory to be full. You won't be able to make any new auction buy orders once your inventory is full, but your current auctions will be allowed to complete. And then you can have an inventory that looks something like this in Brightwood. So in Brightwood was kind of my sacrificial town one time, where I decided that I was just not sure what was going to happen with some of these materials. I didn't want to quite throw them on the ground, and so I put them all up for auction relatively cheap, and no one took advantage of that, so they got taken off the auction, redeposited into my inventory, and you can see that I am 14,000 pounds overweight. So this game in the past has had some problems with duping. However, the team, I've noticed, is much more better at reacting to when dupes happen, and players are being banned for them at this point. Early on, when dupes were happening for a very long time in this game, when it first started, you couldn't trade furnishing items, so a lot of the community missed out on the furniture items and making housing or decorating your house. There's a whole miss aspect that a lot of people don't play in this game, is that this is my own little private instance in my home, and you can see that my my microphone is currently disabled. I'll show you how to fix this after I finish my other thought. We're currently in this house right now. This is my own private instance in town. Anyone that is in my party can appear in this house with me, and we can sit in various areas. Now if I go out to here, I can see other players. This is my own private instance, and no one can hear me while I'm in my house talking to players, but we can still see other players interacting out in the town. So keep that in mind when you're picking a house. You might want to be keeping an eye on things. When this game gets to the point where people are paying attention to the players in the game, right now, a lot of the game style is based around having excessive numbers, but you really can compete in a team of 5 effectively. And then if you have two teams of 5, you're even more dangerous. 10 players would be hard for the average person in New World to respond to, and they oftentimes don't respond to it. Certainly not an organized team. Currently, people take their factions really seriously. They don't want to join just any company, and they take it very committedly, and that's really cool. That's really cool that people are doing that. I want to get more players to make as many companies as they can and always be playing with active members. Some companies are just an extra chat. They should have active players, and you can see up here in Everlink here, we can actually see that a lot of the company members that we have here have been offline for quite a while. And so anyone has access to this members list when they're a part of the company. And something else that you have is that in your treasury is a daily withdrawal limit. We're going to go over real quick on the different ranks. So usually people start out as a settler, and they can see the company chat and they can speak in company chat. But look at some of these territories. You see how this company, Strawberry, owns 1, 2, 3 territories. They have 3 territory standings, or they have 3 territories. They have the bankroll. They have the bankroll to be able... F4 to bring it up. This daily withdrawal limit, you can change this to any amount as the governor. And if, in this case for the West Coast server, since there can only be 100 players in a company, it's very realistic with them having so many territories. They could fund giving their players 1,000 gold daily withdrawal limit. Right now in this game, I see a lot of companies just not knowing how to spend their money, and that's why I want more players to know that if the best way to make big advancements with your character is to take over a town, even if it's for a couple of weeks. The bankroll that you're able to create with it is something that you cannot do by yourself. Let's go, and I can show you the bankroll. Anyone can view. This is another. We're going to go to the town hall. So all these buildings here matter. I really encourage people to actually look around and explore the towns and learn where everything is instead of just trying to navigate like this on the map. This is not going to show you the shortcuts. This is a very well drawn map, but it's not the best for navigating because this doesn't, if I was just looking, it looks like the path would just be to go down and then to the left. It doesn't show me that I can actually travel through here. It's only if I'm using my eyes and realizing that there's a staircase here that I can go down. Ah, there's the town hall, speaking of which. Right? I think so. No, this is the tavern. I haven't spoken to this person before. Anywho, so we're gonna look for the town board. That will show me. There it is. The governor's desk. That's what we're after. This is gonna give us what they call these days the tea. What's going on? See, everyone loves... There are a lot of people that love to just log on to this game just to say dead game. But the first rule about this game is don't trust the global chat. Global chat is usually giving the worst advice. Global chat is always giving advice that's probably going to hurt your game experience. Alright, let's go up to the governor's desk here. Alright, so there's actually, this is territory upkeep. So there's territory upkeep quests that players can be doing, and if they do enough of them, I believe this bar goes up to the green. So there's currently going to be a territory. Look at this payroll. Look at this statement. They've made almost 1 million gold in this current period. 7,000 housing. 7,000 players were on to renew their property upkeep. So just because there's not maximum amount of people always on, the people that are allowed saying that this is a dead game, or just people that are trying to get other people to entertain them. And this is one of these games where you really need to bring your own entertainment. And I'm more encouraged to show people how to play this game because I think it's a good game for me to show people just how to have fun, how to enjoy games, and have a good attitude. Because there is player versus player in this game, so there is a competitive scene, and it's being worked on. It's not a perfect game. It kind of stands on its own as for what it's trying to do. It's got a lot going on with it. Now, hopefully, now you can see all the taxes are set, taxes and fees here. Let's see how much my head's. So, yeah, you can see down below how much the current period is. Now, again, all that money is going to JDB's Kitchen. And you have to ask, what are they spending that money on? So you can look at the territory, you can look at the lifestyles. So they have to, this is the cost, right? This is... These, just because there's, okay, so when a company is making that much money, how I imagine this game being played is that there should be someone of the representing company in the town hall available for players. They shouldn't be out in a Discord. That's not beneficial, because that's just an extra layer that's not necessary to this game. There's an in-game chat that you can use. I can talk to anyone in the open world, and they could come to the town hall and they could ask for any of these improved lifestyles. So there's a lot of players right now where they need, let me show you, they need Armorer's Inspiration, And what these craft bonuses do is if you own a house in the territory, you gain these active buffs, and you can have up to 3 active buffs in a town. Having these buffs enabled allows you to craft 600 gear score items. It gives you a bump up in your expertise. And this is when the little numbers matter. This is end game crafting or maximum crafting, where you're wanting to try to make legendary items and you're trying to roll perfect stat items. You want to be able to roll natural 600s, and you are now rewarded in a leaderboard. You can find this under modes, and you can look at quarterly trade skills, and you can see the number of legendaries people have crafted. Now there's no rewards for this, but this is a really great way to just see who the active players are. And you could, and if you could ask for these players if you happen to maybe want them to make you something. They're always going to be out by one of these crafting stations. So I like that the crafting stations aren't in people's houses, because you have to physically be here at one of these stations to be able to make the items that you need. There's certain foods that you can make at your camp and potions that you can make, but that is a not expanded part of this game. So, back to how I imagine this game being played, is that the Discord integration is good, but Discords are just websites in a way. I'm not trying to bash Discords too much, but the best example I can get to where I just want Discords to become more unnecessary is because that means that the player base is more educated on how to play the game. It used to be that when people wanted to clear these corrupted monoliths, they would ask people to join in a Discord, and they were very adamant that you join their Discord, otherwise they wouldn't possibly be able to take out these corrupted level 60 monoliths. That is not the case. And it's the same thing with what happens in invasions. So you can see at this town, there's going to be an upcoming invasion. And this is, when an invasion happens, is that there's 10 corrupted waves that come and attack your town. And you have siege equipment. There's big brutes that spawn. There's some leviathans that spawn. There are some big baddies that spawn that you can actually preview in the Tempest Heart. So if you are able to kill all the enemies in the Tempest Heart, and then another fun expeditions to do that really power scale well. This area in particular out in the Shattered Mountain here, a lot of players only do this area in massive groups of maybe 20 or more, and they will go and clear one of these areas. But I want you to take note that it says recommended 60 and 5 players available. So right now there's a lot of players that always, when you're joining expeditions such as this, you can see there's one regular lobby. The mutation is inactive. You can see that they're just looking for one healer. Where was I going that thought? Oh goodness me, I don't have the chat up either. There we go. Chat's back up. Ah, yes, so I was talking about, so there could be a company representative, an officer, let's see, who can promote, structures can start and cancel territory upgrades. But guess who else can do that? Officers can, which is any officer can start or cancel a territory upgrade. That means any officer, which is just the second level, any officer should be able to come in here and they can start an improved lifestyle. Currently, what I was trying to say is that a lot of players will sell their house and then they'll buy a house in another area that has better buffs. And that is kind of what these guys are doing. See, what's going on in this area here is that each one of these areas can have different bonuses going, but because this faction owns all three, what players can do without having to rely on each other is that they have a housing bonus discount because if they're within this company, and they have a discount on being able to buy houses. I think we can look to see. There is a menu for that. I won't be able to find it, and I'll try to finish this thought. So that's kind of the benefit. You're like, well, what is this company doing? Why is it benefiting it? So a few players are able to just go through, you know, they're able to buy any house, take advantage of any crafting. That's a waste of money in the long run, but they don't care that it's a waste of money because they're making millions of dollars. So what's a couple thousand? But that thousand could be going back in to the community. And I'm not trying to, I am not trying to denounce any sort of companies. I'm just saying for the state, like, why is this happening? Why are players okay with it? You know, because anyone outside of this doesn't really know why this may be beneficial to players or why they want to just kind of have one company rule it all. It's just the way people currently understand, quote unquote, the most efficient way to play the game. And I roll my eyes at efficiency because the people that play this game, the people that try to play this game efficiently end up playing the game in the most inefficient ways possible. Because again, this is 2,500 gold to activate. On top of that, when you activate a buff in the territory, you get more people out at your territory boards completing these quests. Because again, see how I have nothing in Upgrade Town, nothing in Upgrade Fort? At the very least, I could be having a third improved lifestyle going. And the community could be asking here in the chat, being like, hey, I need this buff today. And really throwing all the resources into these improved lifestyles. Because people might think that this is not a good economy game. But I want to remind people something. I want to be critical of Amazon. I don't like everything that Amazon has done at all. But they certainly would have an understanding of how an economy works. If there's any company that could make a working economy game, I would put my money on Amazon. Just a funny thing to think about. A lot of the magic happens in these town projects. It takes a lot of excess resources. It doesn't give you a whole lot of gold for it, so you would go buy 300 green wood. It might cost 6 gold, but you gotta see that there's a territory standing. The territory standings is, you can view them all on the map. And these are the bread and butter of what you need. Because you get reduced trading taxes, property upkeep, station fees. Once you get enough points, you start reaching 25% reductions. This is a great place to be, or a 25% gain in faction tokens, or in standing gain. Now, territory standing is a really underrated card. I call them territory standing cards when they pop up on the menu. They're different cards that you can choose. ones that I don't have access to more. And again, we're going to highlight that this is some bad advice. I'm going to talk about some bad advice that was given on people trying to min-max this game. They told a lot of players that the experience gained, where you gain permanent increased experience, they told the player base that those were useless cards. They are not, because everything in this game gains you experience. And what are you gaining experience on longer than you're getting to 60? You're gaining experience on your trade skills. So that 5% bonus, that 10% bonus, is always going to apply to you leveling up your trade skills, your gathering, and then eventually your aptitude rewards. They are some of the best cards that you can pick up early on. The numbers that you should shoot for is you don't need 20% additional XP gain in every area. That would be beneficial though. You can make that work for you really well. I'd be excited to have 20% XP bonus. The number that I wish I shot for would have been it would have ended up being 11% bonus, because it goes from 5% to 9%, and then you get a 11 to 13-ish% bonus. I would have shot for that number, because then my fishing experience would have, every time I fish, when you hook a fish, you get 10 XP. If I were to get my XP in that area gained to 13%, I would gain 11 XP. But if I kept it at 5%, I only ever get 10 XP. I do not notice it being fractional when the numbers are too low. So, if I had a 5% bonus and I get 10 XP for hooking a fish, not catching. Hooking a fish gives you 10 XP base. If I have 5% XP, it won't give me any on that 10%. It won't give me any on that 10 XP. But when I reel in the fish, and it gives me 100 XP for reeling in the fish, that 5% bonus will give me 105 XP on reeling in the fish. The territory standing bonuses also, you gain territory standing when you defeat enemies in the area. So again, if you are only getting, this is fractional, or it's not fractional with low numbers. So if you're only getting 2 XP for defeating an enemy, you're not going to really see a big bonus on having 10% territory standing bonus against that. But if it were to give you 100 XP for defeating the enemy, or excuse me, 100 territory standing for defeating the enemy, which you would see in corruption portals. Corruption portals, I think, base give you 300 or 280. I'm not sure what the base is because my territory standing has been high for so long. But you would notice your territory standing gains definitely when you're defeating corruption portals. And then territory standing every single time you craft, catch a fish, anything you're doing, anything in the area, you're gaining territory standing in the area. And it's a long road to 300. Now the more, and that's the real labor in this game, to have cheaper taxes, to be able to have more storage, to be able to push more influence in the territory. And this is where you would sign up for the war. X war slots. There's only 21 players signed up. No. So, now that you've seen a bit of... So now, does your 4,000 gold, do you feel like it's worth going out and mining a bunch of resources when you can see if you work with the territory Let's go back to the governor's slot again. Look at that. This is just from this week. Just from this week, 1 million. Let's view the statements. Last statement. 2.5 million. 3 million. 2 million. And this is where you can see how popular. This is one of the things to be looking at. If you want to see how, because what's going to affect the prices of resources is affected by the labor supply available. So things will, in this game, especially because so many streamers from World of Warcraft, their auction house mentality is to list things for 0.1 gold cheaper. So there's a lot of, you don't want to get upset about how the auction, working on the auction house, because it doesn't benefit someone for making something just a penny cheaper. If it's going to sell, it's going to sell. There are a lot of players that just go ahead and buy the cheapest item, but as the economy will continue to become better and better, again, because a lot of the magic happens in those territory upkeep rewards, or those territory quests. These are game generated. These aren't players saying like, hey, go get this, I need this and this for crafting. This is the game. The game knows all the resources that are currently in the world. And I believe a lot of the magic happens in these upgrade towns. Now, some of them are pretty standard. Like if you're upgrading your arcane station, you're going to be needing fish and oil and arcane stuff. And then a lot of fort upgrades are going to require stone, etc. These quests, now there are, when you're upgrading the fort, the reason why these should always be active, why these are the best ways to raise up things like your armoring and your weaponsmithing skills in particular. I can prove I have my first craftings available, so you get a first craft bonus available on armoring. I have, now how a lot of people level up their armoring is they'll use game calculators and they'll find cheap resources, and they will make like 300 spears because it's the most efficient way to level up. But it's not. So let me see if I have, so I can actually look at my quests here and I can see all my town board missions. I can see that I have a cooking recipe, so I have 4 cooking. I'm looking for an armor order. See, here's a weaponsmith order. And I can show you guys the numbers on this. I can show you right away. This is the way that you want to be leveling. As you level up, just do your town board missions. If you don't have the resources, just buy them off the market to get these quests done. Don't leave these, and then also, you can always just hold on to these orders, and even if that upgrade gets completed, you will still be allowed to complete that quest. So always take the orders that you're going to want to do. Okay, I want to go to the anvil here. Oh, this is the smelter, apologies. And sorry for the frame drop here. Okay, so here we are at the forge. And I bet my face is going to be in the way. Nope, okay. So here is a gashing iron armament. So I want you to see that it requires 20 iron ingot, 15 timber, and 5 quartz. When I was, so all these quests start the town board missions start you at the lowest level tier. So the more of these missions you do, the higher the resources are. So when you're level 0 to 50 on your weaponsmithing, you see how I'm not 100 yet? Because I'm not 100 yet, it's not going to give me any steel armaments. It's only going to give me iron. But when I was under level 50, it was giving me an even simpler recipe. So instead of making these with 20 iron ingots, it was 20 raw ore. That's huge. Now let me show you a menu here, and we're going to sort by XP. So I want you to see that this iron armaments gives you 1,845 XP. Let's see what else gives you 1,000. Now, okay, the best thing I can look at is this balance of time real quick, but look at that. It gives you 400 less XP, and it requires at least triple the amount of iron that you would need, because you have to turn it into steel. And then these gold, and look at all these extra materials it needs. Now, let's try to find something, you know, like a better, like we can't just go, let's look at this, let's maybe just like a steel warhammer. It only gives 810, but look at all the resources it needs for 810 experience compared to this town board mission. And this keeps on, look, this keeps on going up, and this is at the end of its life. So what would be the best way to do it is, now that I'm at 96, now that I'm close, that's when I would be like, okay, what first crafts can I make real quick? How can I get this to 100? And that's how you should be leveling up all your trade skills. Is you shouldn't be worrying about getting it to 200. You should worry about getting it to 50. Like, let me show you in the engineering how I broke it down. Now, I want you to see that there's these engineering research nodes. Now, if you're returning to the game, this is huge. I still do not see guides that implement the research notes that you can use when you're leveling up. Everyone is still using just base materials, like they're converting and making 700 items, and then they're just salvaging everything. These apprentices books take all the resource stress off the game, because as you salvage items, you're able to, let's see, I don't have any of them on me, but you get these armor scraps, and then you're able to use these armor scraps. Let's read the description. Oh, right, it was in this menu. So how did I get to that? How was I able to see? I click on my level, and it brings up the whole list of everything that I'll be able to make from 1 to 200. Now I'll show you how I broke this down. Now, I wasn't the best, the most, what everyone is going to be using is consumables. It's not going to be weapons. They're going to only have a couple weapons, but they're going to be using an infinite amount of consumables. If other people aren't going to be using an infinite amount of consumables, you will use all your consumables. So, as you leveled up, I didn't focus on making 100 iron logging axes. I looked and saw, okay, I need to get to level 20 engineering, and I can start making my weak proficiency boosters. And I'll start making those. And then I don't make a million weak proficiency boosters. I just use it's the highest level available, so it's going to give me, when I unlock it, it'll have the highest XP rewards. And it'll really help me get from level 20 to like level 27 if I made enough of these. And I could get a nice 100 stack. Now it's important that these potions, they take up weight. That's the trade-off, is that they're incredibly effective use of resources, but they take up a lot of weight. So you don't always want to be converting things into potions. Now, So this can help me get up to like about level 27, level 30, and I make a couple of tools. Like I try to get a couple of good rolls on my tools, and then I get up to level 50. And then by the time I hit 50, I have the next research notes that I can use, and then I'm getting better territory quests. And it gives you, again, just look. It gives you recipes from quests. This weaponsmith order for 1,800 for iron. There's nothing that compares to that. But these have to be spawned by players. And then, so how did I get to 192? Well, what happened is that there was a specific point. Like I was explaining before, I got close to 150. I hit about 132, and then that's when I got motivated, and I started making, I started using a bunch of excess resources, so I had a lot of infused silk. I had a lot of resources that I could use, just that were taking up about 400, 500 pounds that I couldn't make into the end game materials, the most rare legendary materials. But I can make some pants at a level 10, so everything I unlock 115, it's going to give me the most experience. And the repair kits, what really motivated me for a while. Now when I hit 150, my goal is once I got close, when I was around 130, I made sure to dump some extra resources besides the territory quests to get to 150, because then I had access to these. And I had over 100 of these because I didn't sell them on the market. I just saved them. I didn't turn them into other resources. You can salvage your armor scraps into other materials, so you have to be careful. It will tell you if you can salvage it into experience or not. There's some that do not. So once I hit 150, I was able, from all my expeditions, because it really benefits you from doing the expeditions again and again and again and again, having fun playing the game with your friends, learning, practicing combos. That is, and making sure your graphics aren't lagging out in the expeditions. It's the best way to level up your character, because then you're getting combat experience, which is important as long as you're not playing it like a clicker. And you don't have to go out in the game collecting all the resources to try to Iron Man into getting the level 200 everything, because you can just salvage your equipment that you're getting from these expeditions. And I made the jump. I can show you the screenshots. I can show you the jump. I went from 150 all the way up to about 187. And these notes are available in your engineering as well. They're also available for your Arcana. And then when you salvage materials, usually you'll see a color associated with the armor scrap or the jewelry scrap. That is also, you also get jewelry scraps, and that is why there's so much items listed on the market, and that is why they're listed for 2 gold or 3 gold. I'll show you the jewelry list in the auction house, and we'll go over some of the auction house stuff while we're here. So let's go to, we're in the buy menu currently, and we're going to go to apparel, and then we're going to go to amulets. And you can see that there's just a base price of 6 for a lot of these. And why is it 6? Like, it doesn't matter what the stats are, it's all just a base 6 price. And then 7, 7, 7. Now, that's because when you salvage this, there's a chance that you could, 1, get the gem that's in there, and you'll also get some silver. And then it also has a chance of dropping a, in this case, a jewelry scrap. And that would give you a large amount of expertise bonus. It gives you more expertise bonus than any resources could. So again, it's very efficient to be able to use these resource scraps to be able to level up and hit milestones. So again, for engineering, where I'm at here, is that I can start making orichalcum tools. And start looking for good perks. But when I'm talking about playing within your economy, what would actually be better for me to do is to try to roll some really good star metal tools. Because I'm going to be able to, the gear score is going to be higher, so for these star metal tools. So I'm going to be able to roll a better axe for players, maybe an axe someone can get at level 47 or level 48. And these are really important levels to consider because the halfway point in the leveling is about 45. And what I mean from that is we can look at the total amount of XP that your character has. Let's see. I think if I hit escape, I can show my total XP somewhere. Maybe not. Aha! It's just a little hidden. So total XP is 1,065,770 to get to level 60. So you're at, when I say that you're at halfway, around 45, at level 45 you've made about 500,000 XP. And then looking back at these, so there are going to be plenty of players that are going to benefit from a star metal axe. There are way more players that'll benefit from a star metal axe than they are going from an orichalcum axe. And let's just look at some of these tools that are available. So there's really no reason. Oh wow, those are actually some pretty nice iron sickles. Oh no, that's mine. Okay, so okay, number 1, you do not need to buy an iron sickle that doesn't, this is a ripoff. Because you can make green iron sickles. So, and then I super encourage you to, when you're first starting out, what's going to really help you is to get to level 60 is that on your gathering, you're going to want to hit level 50. And I'll show you, so one of the most resource intensive items to get in the game is motes. They are the magical element, and they are used for your consumables. Like while I was talking about how you can dump consumable resources into your character and use that, and then it won't affect your storage, and you will maximize your potential. Alchemy stones you can start gathering at level 50, and they start giving you motes, and they also start giving you magical material. Level 50 is really easy to get to, and then you don't need to worry about it after that point. Lodestone is another really resource intensive to keep your eye out for, and again, how I got this, another good one is, let's go ahead and click on the skinning. Yes, skinning. Appear, skinning. tracking and skinning. So when you're leveling up, you're level 7, you might only be able to skin a level 20 animal. If you ever have a question on what you can skin while you're leveling up, you can always come to this menu and you can see what level up to you can skin. And then you can also see when you can start tracking prey. Now I recommend when you start doing hunting quests, when you are able, I would focus more on doing hunting quests when you are able to track the prey that you're hunting. It helps very much, and that will appear up in this top navigation menu. You would see a deer or a rabbit icon or a turkey icon. Those are very helpful for when you're doing quests that you need to deposit feathers or you just need to hunt rabbits or hunt turkeys. So let's go, and now what I was explaining is that those iron sickles were an absolute joke, and I will show you why. Let's just go. Now this is, you as a brand new player are going to be able to make these. I'll show you, we're going to sort by level. Okay, and let's see. I want to go to the engineering station, not this station. But this is another good place to show, we'll show multiple examples. So, I can add, if I am a brand new player and I want just one perk, say I just want a sword that crits, and I want to use that to level up from level 15 to 20. I can make that sword, I can make an iron sword at level 0, and I can add any of these perks I find. Now here's the thing, just look at these perks, so you can get any perk you can add, more strength, more focus, dexterity, anything you want. You don't have to rely on the market. At level 0, you can make any weapon that you want and use any perk. Now, you're going to find plenty of good weapons. What you're not going to find is tools. You're not going to find tools in the open world. Let's see, that's the person's house. Alright, here we are at the workshop. Now, I'm going to close weapons, expeditions. Here's the tools. Look, iron logging axe. So this, I'll kind of go on how the levels of tools work. So this iron has 1 perk available. This steel has 2 perks available. And how perks work is you can see that this has 1 perk. I can add a resource to give it 1 perk. And when you are leveling up, one of the things, if you're trying to get to 50, one of the most beneficial things that you could use is gaining more logging experience. Now, there's not going to necessarily be a tool that just has logging experience available. And if it is, it might be expensive. And it's okay if it is expensive because someone is providing the convenience to you. They only have 100 inventory slots. And if a player is selling you a piece of armor or a weapon or a tool or furniture, those are allowed to be priced differently. And they should be encouraged to be more expensive because it is that 1 out of 100 of their listings could have been a 10,000 stack of orichalcum, or 10,000 lodestone, or 10,000 soul mote, which that would be worth 3,000 gold or 6,000 gold. But instead, they're going to sell you an iron tool for maybe 450 gold. Now, the resources to make that tool might only be 78 gold on the market. So why is there such a markup? Because they're using one of their 100 slots. I surely sound like a broken record. So, what if you wanted to get, let's say you're not interested in doing this at all. say what. But before we go on that note, we're going to just finish the thought with the lower level players. Any player can make an iron tool. So you start out with flint. You make flint when you arrive on the island. You're shown how to make your flint tools. And they don't get any perks. And their mining speed, their gathering speed is so slow. So for your iron, you only need to be level 0 to make it, and you can add any perk. You can make it durable, which means that it does not take durability loss, which is a great perk to have. That means you never have to repair the item. Or you can mine, you could increase the logging speed by 20 to 33%. But honestly, the best thing that you could put on an iron while you're trying to get to 50 would be the Lumberjack's experience. Now, in another video, I'm going to show you how the best way, if you wanted to get your logging level high up, find a level 60 player and have them mostly chop down the tree for you. And then have the player that's trying to level up their logging last hit the tree. A level 60 player is going to be able to chop a tree down in 3 or 4 hits. They might have the constitution to be able to chop it down in 1 hit. There's some other things to take note. I really don't want lower level players worrying too much about trying to maximize their gathering resources, but I can show you a few things that will help you boost those numbers up. So one of those, again, was the Lumberjack's experience. Now the territory card that I was talking about earlier, where it gives you more experience, 5% experience, that would go into your logging experience. So you'd be gaining 5 from your territory, and then you'd be gaining, say, 3 to 6% from your Lumberjack. Now, you might be wondering, how do I know if it's going to be 3% to 9.4%? So this steel Lumberjack charm is the same charm for logging experience for the iron, for the steel, for the star metal, and for the orichalcum. So it is what changes if it's going to be 3% or 9.4% is the gear score of the item. So the higher the gear score, the higher the potential of the crafting resource. Okay, let's say that, so you got a good start on your character, you made your own iron tools, and maybe you were able to even get it up to 50 and you were able to add your steel. Now this is the other part that we're going to explain. Now we have a second perk, but you might notice that there's no way for me to add 2 perks. I can only ever guarantee 1 perk. So my 1 perk is now going to be Lumberjack's Discipline. Let's see if my face is in the way of this. Nope, good. It is in just the right spot. And then let me make sure I have the chat up. Good. Okay, so my 1 perk for this item will be Lumberjack's Discipline. And if I add Azoth, this is again relative to the type of item. If I add 8, I now have a very high chance for a second perk to appear. Now let's say if I wanted to use no item. You can see that I have a very high chance for that perk. That is because of the Azoth. And you can see now instead of just adding 8, I have the chance of adding 16. And 16 Azoth will give me 2 random perks. And the perks will be any one of these 2 random perks. Now we can go up to 1 more and you can see that the star metal has a 3rd perk available. So we're able to add 1 guaranteed perk, and then we can add Azoth. Oh, look at that. They did streamline this. I am sorry. They have updates after updates, so they did stream. I do remember there being an update around December of 2022 where they streamlined the crafting. where they changed the ASOS requirements for stuff, and I don't know too much more about those notes. I've never been super big in crafting, so it was just one of those ones that I don't have super knowledge on. But you can see I have mining efficiency and a very high chance for double perks. And then, so let's say I'm not going to get guaranteed. They could be throwaway perks I don't want, so I might need to make 3 or 4 star metal mining picks, and I might get the pick that I want. Let's say that I couldn't get to level 100 in my tools, so I can't make star metals yet. I'm just stuck at level 70, and let's just go take a look at the market. Let's see what players are actually looking at when they're trying to purchase a star metal tool right now, what they have available to them. So we're going to go to tools, gathering tools, and let's just look at sickles, and we're going to look at star metal sickles. So you can see a lot of these don't even, these star metal sickles, why are these even listed for 90 gold? This is absolutely absurd. This is people wasting their time having these types of sickles. There is no reason this type of sickle should be on the market, because a star metal sickle should have all 3 perks. Now, you saw, notice how you can have a low chance to roll a perk. That means that you can see this is a star metal sickle. It has the option to have 3 perk, or yes, it is 3 perks. And that's something, again, why I really stressed, very on when I was like, yes, you can make star metal tools, or sorry, yes, you can make orichalcum tools, because I'm 170, but the better place for me to be is making my star metal tools, because I'm going to have less gathering speed, but I'm going to be able to roll more of these star metals, and I'm going to be able to get more of these perks, and I can still roll a high gear score. There's still a potential to rolling those star metals. And I can go back to the table and explain that again. Anyway, so tools, gathering tools, sickle. And we're going to star metal sickle. Now you can see they're all the same tier. Oh, that does put all the blue ones on top. Perfect. Okay, so sorting by tier, they're all tier 3s. They're in Roman, these are Roman numerals. So that is a 1. Oh, is it tier 4? It's tier 4. My apologies. This is a... Tools confuse me so much, because if I go to orichalcum... Aha! Yes, this is 5. And then legendaries are 6, right? No, it's also a 5. It's just not a legendary. Okay, so you see this is a tier 5, and it has 3 perks, and then this is a tier 5 legendary, and it has 4 perks. That's the only difference between an epic and a legendary, is an extra perk. And that's going to be the same thing. So orichalcum tools only have, you can see, 3 perks available, just like a star metal tool has available to it. But what it does have is about 100% more gathering speed to it. So when you hit level 60 and you can use orichalcum tools, look at this jump. From a pickaxe, we'll go star metal. So the base speed for this is 464. To my orichalcum of 830%. Which again, this is why I'm stressing so much for low-level players to not focus on trying to mine, and trying to level up their skills past 50 or past 75, because there's no reason to get it that high, because you get such an advantage at gathering when you hit level 60. The tools that you have save you so much time in gathering. Now, a quick tip, since we are talking about this, Specifically, we are going to look at our mining. Now, a lot of people might think to level up their mining, they have to hit iron or silver. That is not the case. To start leveling up your mining, you can mine stone. Now, mining iron is going to give you a lot of experience between 1 and 50. So you could go from level 0 to level 50 in mining by just mining iron. But I want players to know that they can mine stone. And then lower level players, I want you to pay attention to your attributes. There's certain milestones that I want you to pay attention to. Your character won't be able to hit these. I don't know the math yet on when your character has what level they would have to be able to get these numbers. But I want to show that when you get 200 strength, you get a 10% mining speed. And then at 250, you get a 10% yield increase when mining. So that's a whole 10%. And then at 300, you have a 25% to mine the ore or the rock in a single hit. Now, level 45, it might be pretty hard for a level 45 to get 300 strength. And if they could, that would almost be worth it, you know, for a level 45 to be 1 in 4 chance to hit a rock. But they are still using a star metal tool. They don't have the speed of a orichalcum tool yet. Now, let's say you don't like any of the options of these tools that you have available. So, let's say I want a pickaxe. I want a star metal pickaxe, and I don't see the star metal pickaxe I want. This option right here, I can place a buy order. And then the information that's given to me here is that I can see it takes a tier 4 metal, it takes refined wood, and it takes the leathers. And depending on how much you know of the game, you have a relative idea how much when you craft more, you can kind of like, okay, for pickaxes, it's like six ingots of this and 7 leathers of that and 6 woods of these, and I can make it for about this price. Like I said, so a lot of these tools only are using about 70, 80, maybe 300 gold in resources. And you would really like to make it yourself, but they're only being sold for, all the good pickaxes are being sold for 1,600. Let's say if I wanted a pickaxe like this, right? Gathering and clarity, mining yield, and mining luck. It's a great pickaxe. I want to place a buy order, and I can place it for 14 days. And he has that listed for 1,700. Now I'm going to put a buy order, and I was like, I want to buy that for 450. I want quantity of 1, and I want mining yield, I want mining efficiency, and I want gathering clarity. Now, I have to pay out of pocket, so there's 300 gold, and I could place the order. And we're gonna go, and it's gonna cost an additional 13 gold for me to place. So 313. This is gonna take one of my 100 buy and sell orders. Because I'm the one, now I was really defending the crafters, saying that if they are the ones for furnishing, for trophies, for things that they have to list small amounts. Potions are another one, because you can only sell them in stacks of 100. Those are allowed to be more expensive, or have a price that is not relative to the base cost of the resources because they're using one of their 100 auction slots. So you, as the buyer, don't have to buy something at their price when you're the one placing the buy order. I can say, I want all these perks, and you know what? I'm only going to give you 250 gold for it. That's right. And I do recommend having these at 14 days. I am explaining this mechanic because it's currently a really underused mechanic in the game. A lot of people do not place buy orders, and buy orders are really helpful. You can buy stuff from under market value, or you can buy stuff over market value, and you are sure to have that order filled. We're going to go ahead and cancel this. I'm not currently going to do that. So now, how this game works with equipment is certain areas, certain enemy types drop certain types of armor. So we can go to the medium, and we'll just look at chest pieces. And we'll look at Forsaken. And you can see the description of the Forsaken is a piece of armor that has been in the possession of the Lost for some time. So the ones for Corrupted would be Desecrated. Or is it Defiled? It's Defiled, excuse me. So there is no defiled leather coat. Let's say I found a coat, and like a defiled leather coat, it had some thing that I wanted. Let's say I needed it with Arcanist expertise. I'm like, hey, if anyone finds this on the ground, I will buy it for you for like 100 gold even. So when I go to sell stuff, if I were to, so let's, there's a few, we can just start clicking on some of these. So animal claws, like I'm trying to sell all my stuff, like say I'm trying to dump my inventory real quick, I'm going to my sells. So I got ancient bear paws, and I can sell those on the spot right now. I could sell all 3 of them, and boom, I'd have 20 more gold. Let's go ahead and let's see what the sell orders are real quick. So without having to go over to the buy menu, I can see what the current listing is. And this is something to pay attention to because it'll only show you the current 5 sell orders. Making sure my face isn't in the way. Perfect, it's not in the way. Making sure I keep that chat up in the window as well. And bring it up. Okay, so this will only show me 5 orders. So if I really want to know what's going on with this, with the bear paws, so I'm actually going to have to go back to the buy orders. I'm going to put in bear paws. The best way to navigate the inventory. Alright, and we're going to sort it by available quantities. And this is going to tell me what the actual price of things are. So because the quantity, the person with the most quantity is selling it for 6 gold. So the price of a large bear claw right now is 650. Let's see, now we can organize it by the cheapest. The cheapest I could get is 325. So it's half. But I, as a player, why would I want to support a player that wants to half the market value of an item? You know, because I might be leveling up. I might have plenty of reasons of why I want to take advantage of a cheaper price, and I might only need 3 or 4 of these. That's fine. It would be in my benefit to buy these large bear paws from these person because they're not afraid of putting up a higher price. They are the ones that are trying to set the market, set the value for our time going out and collecting this stuff. I can have a choice. I can choose to support the player that is having the market value, or I can choose to support the player that is setting the market value. And at the end of the day, my decision is going to give one of these two players more money. And I'd rather the player that is trying to increase the value of products to have more money, rather than the person that's trying to decrease the value of products have more money in these cases. Now, that is I guess one way how I personally use that is that as a player, you can't focus on every single market. There's so many items, so much going on, and so many different resources that affect different resources, and conversion rates that can happen, that you don't always know the value of things. And then also there's situations, like I showed you, where there can be storage votes of someone that has just maximum inventory, and they're just waiting for someone to stupidly post something for some price, and then they're going to have it because they have quantities of 600 or 700. Now, the trade-off for them is when they do that is that they have a maximum storage that's overcapacitated, but they have to take it out of the storage to list it on the market. So like this, we'll go over to my storage and I'll show you that brim sand storage again. So those buy orders that I was showing you how to make, you can do it for raw resources, which I highly recommend. If you don't want to be collecting iron anymore, you can make iron orders. You don't have to be doing that. You do need it to be able to create higher resources, because you have to convert it to steel to get to star metal. Brightwood storage. So let's say the price of common gemstone dust finally went back up. It's been sitting at pennies. I bought all this. It's been sitting at pennies forever, and then it's suddenly going for 7 gold. Now, I'm taking advantage of the fact that I have so this is a whale, or a boat. So the whale is kind of a Diablo 3 term. I'm sorry to throw that in. Whale was used in Diablo, or a Diablo mobile game, to describe someone that has spent a lot of money in a game to make a powerful character. That is not this case at all. This was a market, so I had this. I paid money to put this onto the market. And when it's on the market, it's not taking up any storage space. And when it comes off the market, it will overfill your storage. So, this is what you need to keep out for on the market, is that there might be a lot of resources sitting in someone's storage. And so, the price of something, you might think that you're going to be able to make a really good sell on it, and then you find the market just gets absolutely flooded. So I'm going to show you, just with one item here, I want to show you what will happen if I try to take... So, say that, like, this common gemstone dust, it hadn't been worth putting on the market, it was just good to put it in cold storage, basically. But now I really want to sell it. And maybe you as a new player are looking at this like, how is this fair, right? How is this fair that a player is able to do this? And I agree with you since the game doesn't tell you that you can do this, you have to do this by accident, or you just have to let this happen, basically. This is why I really want more players to know that this is something that you can do. And then I want to show the downside to it, to show that that storage is the only limited resource in this game. So any of these raw resources, players can generate more and more of these resources. So, and that's why things are always trending downward in price, because more and more people can add to the supply. But then there's also a demand. So yeah, people will usually buy the cheapest product, but there's other things to consider. Like they might want a whole 100 stack of this item. So if you just only have like 30 of an item, like 30 of this incense, you see stacks of 100 for these items. I can't do 10,000 stacks like this oak stain or like this woodlouse space. These are stacks of 100. So let's say that it was really time for me to make a market move. If I take this out of this over encumbered storage and into my inventory, it starts taking up my inventory space again, but there is no way for me to be able to put it back in. And I have to take it out of the storage and I have to put it on the market in a different town. So if someone is undercutting you that way, if you're finding that you thought you had the market capped, just know that, again, look at the numbers. There were 7,000 players that paid their property upkeep last week. Think about how much resources you can collect as one player. Now multiply that by 7,000. Now that's just this is just small numbers to try to get you to understand that there is so much available labor and gold is a commodity, and that companies could really change the interaction that they're having with their players. They could be the potential for the types of market plays that could happen in this game have not come to fruition at all because company money is not behind it yet. Lots of players, individual players, can only do $500,000 gold plays. And then their money, that's the most money that they're capped on. And then if they make more than 500,000, that money just disappears. So people that try to maximize the market are going to run into problems. It takes a lot of effort of just being here in the auction house just to generate the money. There's a lot of having to look, because if you can't just set all your auctions for 14 days. Like I can't sell a bunch of my stuff and then just log off for 14 days and then come back to 7 million coin. That's not going to happen. It's going to cap me at 500,000. So if my auctions make more than that, all that money just disappears. And that's I know some people might think that that's a stupid thing, but this isn't EVE Online, you know? The money is not meant to be hoarded in this game. It's meant to be used. Money saves you time in this game. And that is why when people are talking about things are like best in slot and they're trying to sell it for 20,000 gold, it's because that's kind of an example of the time relative to having it now. Because I could do an expedition and try to get that weapon. But say the expedition takes me 30 minutes to do, and I get 500 gold. Let's say this sword doesn't have a great drop rate. So to be able to get it, I'd have to do it 10 times. And let's say I did it perfectly in 30 minutes every time. That would be 5,000 gold that I made, and I got the item. But how many hours would that be? Oof, I got too hung up on multiplying the gold. 30 minutes, 10 times. We're looking somewhere around 9.5 hours. I think. So 9.5 hours of game time to get this sword. So 9.5 hours. And yeah, I could have gotten the sword. And it would have been 9.5 hours plus 5,000 gold. Or I could just have the sword right away, and maybe I pay, I mean, the 20,000 for it. Think about that. That's just like basically a 4 times markup of what I would have been able to make from getting the sword myself. And I know that that doesn't necessarily make sense, because you're like, what are you talking about? You earned 5,000 gold and you got the sword, and then but someone can sell it to you for 20,000 and that's a fair deal? I'm like, well, yeah, it's relative to the time that you spent, because it was 9 hours plus 5,000 gold. So the 9 hours plus the 5,000 gold base generated, that was just doing the questing. You complete the expedition, you'll get a 500 gold reward from it, or 250. No, you should get 2 lost sacks of coins. I believe it is a 500 payout. And then the other half is through corruption monoliths. When you destroy these recommended level 5 players, or recommended 5 players, you will get a lost sack of coins, and that will be 250 gold apiece. But you have to do 2 of those monoliths to get the 2 sacks of coins. I believe it's 1 expedition. And let's say it can now something, if you're just trying, so think about those numbers that I just threw at you. So you could just play the game. You would not need to do any market plays whatsoever, and every day you could generate 1,000 gold just by clearing some corruption portals, these guys here. Now when you're a higher level, I want to note that you can look at some of the lower level areas, and you can see that this is recommended 5 players, but you only need to be level 25 to do it. As a level 60 player, you can go and close that corrupted portal yourself, no problem. And you'll still get the gold reward from it. And you'll also get territory standing from doing this. So you can generate 1,000 gold in about an hour of play. And that's kind of what you need to base off your other resources, and kind of what lower level players have to keep in mind. Because lower level players are not going to be able to collect as much resources as a level 60 player can in an hour. And so if a level 60 player collects stone for an hour, that amount of stone should be worth 1,000 gold, roughly. There's a since we're talking about kind of like how prices exist in this game, that is just looking at the type of money that you can earn, and that is incredibly simplified, because there is you can be generating more and more income than that. That is just simply doing your expedition quests and going close corruption portals. You can go scroll down here and you can see that your primary currency is derived from completing missions, killing enemies, and participating in events. I want people to pay attention to the killing enemies part. So killing enemies generates gold. Now, let's say that you're a level 25 player, you don't know what a good deal on your weapon is. That is what your faction representative is for. So when we go and this is, as you level up, you will want to be leveling up this tracker. And this, I'll show you at the level 60s here, is that you have access to these gypsum orbs. And what these do is that these are guaranteed bumps that you can use at the gypsum kiln. And you can see that they cost 0 gold. So these are some of the most beneficial things to be able to buy when you have excess syndicate tokens. There are other things that are worth purchasing. but they cost gold, and they don't. This is where you get like your PvP only. Want just the concentrated iron. This is just resilient. Resilient is a really good perk to have in PvP combat. It is one of the perks that I do recommend that is on your armor. Because you can be making your crits deal about 20% less damage to you. That's very important. It's a very nice damage reduction, especially because it is a crit. But let's look at some of the lower level stuff here real quick that you have access to. So I want you to see that this is the base cost for a health potion. So now, just because that people could be making market plays, and they can be manipulating the market with company money, like I was suggesting they do, there is still going to be a base price for things. So something is never going to be become unattainable for the player. So you can see that that even exists for the armor. And this gives you a base understanding of what your arm. This is for a level 20. It's going to be level 345 gear score. But let's look at the cost. So if I was looking on the market, a fair price for a blue item that is level 20 would be 75 gold. If it is more than that, it would need to be because it has some good perks. Maybe it's like a level 20 logging set. Again, that's a little bit of a side note, but I would, as a low level player, I would not worry too much about loot luck or gathering luck. If you are if you're rolling your second character, I trust that you're knowing what you're doing and you have an understanding of how the loot luck tables work. But I don't recommend low level players or players that are pre-60 worrying about any sort of luck. The very first luck that you're going to want to pay attention to is your loot luck. And that is going to hit at level 60. That is going to affect every single thing that you pick out of your chests. And the best way to increase your loot luck is going to be with basic, or with minor loot luck trophies. One in each house, giving you a total of 3. Buy those first. Do not worry about getting a luck armor set or luck jewelry. Having those percentages on, like, there's an item called the Chain of Zane that you can get in one of the expeditions that I recommend. I can show you. This item drops naturally, and you can see that one of its perks is that it has a luck perk. I'm not saying that you have to avoid these perks or they're a waste, but what happens when you hit level 60 is that you naturally become more lucky. So your base luck increases. That means that you're more likely to receive uncommon items, which are green items. These are uncommons. These are commons. Those are just gray items. You're more likely to receive those items in the game after you hit 60. And that is when you can start worrying about your gathering lucks. You should always start, before you worry too much about completing your set, always worry about building your trophies up. Alright, we're going to take a quick little in 12 minutes, we're going to take an intermission. And if anyone has any questions, please... Oh! Mr. Under there. Welcome in. Sorry I missed your message early on. Can you use in-game gold for subscription time? There is no subscription for New World. So you just pay for the game and you have access. They are going to be introducing a battle pass, and that is going to give cosmetics. So I can actually open up the store for people here. This is a menu that a lot of people might not have checked out before. So there are, let's see, so people, add more, let's see. So 20,000 coins costs 20. Let's see, 5,000 is $5. Okay. So emotes cost $5. Camp skins cost $20. And then there's bundles that you can get. But most of the things that you can purchase in this game are just cosmetics. In those cosmetics, the only way I see it being pay to win, you're not even winning, you're just appearing higher up on this list. So if you bought a lot of items from the store, if we entered this housing menu, their score would naturally be higher because those items that they purchased are usually rare furniture pieces, so they have a high housing score. But this, being on this leaderboard, does not give you any benefits. It just makes it so your house is on display in the open world. Meaning, so that furniture that I'm seeing on that character on this house, I can go in, I can enter the house menu, and I can enter this player's house. Come on, enter this player's house. Huh. He had, I don't know if that was a trick, but what was just from playing this game, because he has his beast right here, it was almost tricking my character from not being able to go in the door. So I had to kind of sidestep it to be able to get into this guy's house. Now, this is what I really, really like about this game, is I can see what's going on with what this player is doing. He has all his combat trophies up, so he's probably an expedition player. I can actually go up, and this was the top leaderboard guy, and you can see this is the rock pack. So there's kind of like a death metal skins and musical instruments. There is a musical instrument release, so people were able to buy cosmetic skins. So are there cosmetics that you can get as drops? Not from enemies or monsters, but that will be a introduction to the battle pass at the end of the month. There will be a free battle pass tracker and a paid battle pass tracker, and those will unlock cosmetics, and I believe they give you resources that are like these craft mods. So it's you'll have more availability to these, and some of these resources go for 4,000 to 6,000 gold in game. But paying to get that on a PvP tracker isn't going to make people more money. It's just going to cause everyone to make less money, because if there is more supply but the same demand, the market value is just going to go down in this game, unless players decide to change their mind. But there are actually, you can collect cosmetic wise, you can actually, let me show you the furniture, because you can find furniture pieces. So I have all the furniture stored here. So these are newer. So these scenic paintings you actually find as paintings, literally easels left out in some of the waterfalls. A lot of mobs will drop things like decorative glass bottles or these round earthworm jars. Oh, my face might be in the way of that. There's wooden dishes that you'll find. So these are cosmetics that you can place in your house that drop from monsters. And then there's things that I could make, like these oak casual chairs. I made these. These are from an event where you could mount a fish. That was pretty cool. And then there are certain emotes, so there's certain emotes that you can unlock in the PvP tracker. So as I level up, as I do PvP type of missions, as I hit these markers, some of these reward options would be emotes. Usually how you unlock cosmetics, some of them I can show you, is there's usually events that happen. So completing the events will give me access to, like, this was a Twitch drop, this was the Winter Convergence event, and these are skins that I can put on top of my player. And some of the things that can happen in this game that you can see that I'm using a small shield, and I guess some ways that people can manipulate the game is that I can change this skin even though this is a small shield. So small shields have a certain amount of stamina, but I could potentially trick players by putting a big shield skin on, even though it's actually a little one, and then people might think I might be able to block a whole lot more damage than I can. So it's just very important to actually pay attention to people's health and stamina bars as it appears over their characters. And then from that faction house, we're going over some prices. So you have gear that you unlock all the way up to 60, and you can price that equipment relative to the auction house. So a level 60 weapon from your auction house is going to cost 2,000 gold. So an epic item at the auction store should have a base price of 2,000 gold. You shouldn't be seeing epic weapons being sold for 7,000 gold. So let's go into the gypsum kiln. So these are, you can see on each one of these, if I hover over the description, I can see how I acquire these. So there's many different rewards for the game. These are killing open world bosses. These are from completing, these are for doing the, not the PvP arenas, but there are a couple of bosses that you can fight that are out here. Zygroff's Grove is one of them, and then there's the Siren's Queen down here. Well, let's go ahead, and these ones are once a day from your crafting. So, you make more of the gypsum ore, but what do you do with them? Well, what you do is you turn it into gypsum casts, and what you're doing with this is that you have this gear score on the side. So for lots of you, you might be still, these might be looking at like 530, 570. So what this gypsum kiln does is it gives you guaranteed bumps. So let's say I wanted to get my ice gauntlet to 600, and I can always look and see what my mastery is by looking here. Do I have anything that's not 600 gear score? Nope, everything is 600 gear score. This is one of the first things that you can work on, is getting your weapons to 600, because these will affect the drops that you get that you can sell. So if your gear score is 570 on your hatchet, for example, if your gear score is 570, the best hatchet that will drop for you would be either a named expedition reward, which would drop at 590 or 600. There is a chance that that would happen in an expedition only named item, named reward. But if your gear score for the hatchet's 570, the best hatchet that would drop from an enemy would be a 575 gear score hatchet. And that would be the item giving you an expertise bump. So when you're hitting expertise bumps, say if I was at 550 on my amulet, I'd craft an amulet, and when I open this up, I'm already max gear score, so it won't give me an expertise bump. Because I'm 625 gear score, it'll give me 400 Umbral Shards. If I was 610 gear score, it'd give me 300-ish Umbral Shards. So there will be a certain point where you're going to be making all these gypsum casts, not because you want the items, but because you want the extra 3,000 Umbral Shards. So let's talk about where those Umbral Shards go. So there's a very easy breakdown. So here, let's go to an active mutation. Barnacles and black powder. And then here's the available rewards that you can get, plus the mutation rewards. But let's look at a normal. So a normal, a regular, is just recommended level 60. And level 60s, to give you an idea, we can go to the back to the faction member and I can show you what the gear score, base gear score is for a 60 item. You should have, so if your gear score for 60 matches down here, as long as it, when you're level 60, what I'm trying to say is that some of your gear, specifically your jewelry, might still be something like a 410 gear score, or maybe even a 380 gear score. You're going to want to start working on getting your gear score up to a 500 average to start. Will put your character in a good, powerful position. But after you complete enough of these regular expeditions and seeking Umbral rewards, because you use these Umbral Shards to increase a weapon from 600 to 625. Let's say I can show it as an example for this. This is a 600 gear score. Let's say I wanted to upgrade it, and you can see the stats. So it currently gives me 25 constitution, but if I put in 10, I can see what that changes into. Still 25, so let's put it to 612. Still 25 constitution. Let's put it to 615. Huh. Maybe it's because it's gloves, it's different. I should be seeing, there we go. So you can see if I put all the way up to 625, I get 1+ bonus constitution, and you can preview what the item will look like. And you can see the refreshing was also changing. You can see it goes from a 2.8% and is now at a 2.9%. So I'm going to go ahead and quick salvage some of these items. Now I want people, they are changing the way equipment, locked equipment works. So locked equipment, instead of locking every single piece of equipment that you want to protect, they are making it so that this does not transfer out of your inventory. There's lots of good inventory management upgrades that are coming within the next couple of patches, including gear score sets. And that is when we're going to go into my inventory, and when they release the inventory sets, that's when we're going to be making a couple of DPS sets and making a mage set and a healer set and making use of the new inventory upgrades that they'll have for us. In the meantime, I don't want people to be too afraid of leaving their legendary gear unlocked, even if they are quick salvaging equipment, because I want to show you if you say I was salvaging really quickly, I came up to this legendary gear. If I try to quick salvage this, it's still going to ask me, you're about to salvage a powerful item. So that is another beneficial or end game currently to have legendary gear, is that you won't accidentally delete it. Some gear that you need to be more careful with right now is actually things like your fishing set or your mining set. But these sets aren't important until after you already have your trophies, because getting a full mining set is going to be just as expensive as getting your trophies, and the trophies will give you more of a bonus than the mining set by itself. And then on top of that, they're just besides the set, so say this, we'll put on the miner set. And again, the quickest way I would do this is I'd put in miner, then I'll click all my gear, I'll clear my inventory search, and now I have all my miner gear on. And you can see that it gives me 4.9% luck. Now, this again is the only place where gear score matters. It matters very little. You can see this 500 gear score mining shirt. When I'm looking to maximize, when I'm trying to get the best luck possible, I'd be interested in replacing this mining shirt and finding one that's 595 gear score, because then you can see that this 598 gives me a 5%. But let's go ahead and upgrade it. If I upgrade it to 625, it gives me a 5.2%. And with how the luck tables work, is the last few percentages are the most important to hitting your loot luck tables. So, but there's a couple other percentages. Don't get honed in on this, because there's more luck that you can add, because you can have luck in all your gear here, but you can also have mining luck on your amulet, on your ring, on your earring, and on your tool. So the total luck that you can have comes from your outfit, your jewelry, your tool, and the trophies. And there's 3 tiers of trophies that you can get. Alright, we're going to take a quick intermission now. Thank you so much for people dropping in a few comments. I'm glad, sorry if I kept you guys waiting a couple of minutes. I think I caught you guys pretty quick. We are just going to freshen up our beverages real quick, and then we will see what to get into next. And we are going to actually go wait back in one of the ends here, and we'll go rest on the bed. Actually, I might just go hang out in my house. That sounds a lot nicer. So, I've encouraged a lot of people to use the in-game voice chat. I think that's a better way than using the global chat or even the faction chat when you're needing help. But it's going to start getting very loud if more and more people do that. So that your solution might be like, well, what do I do? You take up more space, so I can't hear people in the middle of the town. All I have to do is just walk away from them. If people are like, they're so loud, I need to mute them. You don't need to mute them, you just need to walk away from them. I've made on the New World forums, I've made just a post to the developers on kind of some recommendations of things I've seen in other games, such as earmuffs and just some quality of life updates that could come to the social tab. One of the really annoying things that happens in the social is you can see that it currently shows 2 players online, but I actually have to scroll all the way down and up, and you can see it actually refreshed my social list to who was actually online. So you do have to scroll all the way down and back up, and you can see I actually had to do that more than 1 or 2 times, and it refreshed my social list to show the people I actually had online. And then some other things that can happen. I have not noticed this in some time, but the global chats or your faction chat can be delayed by a few minutes. This happens after coming out of instances or the expeditions. What I mean by instances is when you go into an expedition, the expeditions are still in this world. They are just located out here in the middle of nowhere. Is where like the Lazarus expedition is, and then out here on the map, down here is where the other mutations exist. At least, I don't know if they still do it like that. That was some stuff that I noticed early on in the game. Okay, I am back in my house. We're going to take a little chill. And something that I want to show people again is they set up their houses in ways where you can't really interact with, they put everything too close together. And I really do want to encourage people to actually make places where players could get together and actually sit down. Because again, this is a great place for me to just take a quick little break, and I can walk away from my computer for a minute and I won't have to worry about some random person screaming into their headset, because I don't believe I can hear them. Actually, you know what? I do think I can hear people outside the town, but they would have to be right next to my house, I believe. I do know that they cannot hear me, or they cannot hear the players that are in this house currently. Okay, I'm going to take a short little break just to freshen up a little bit, and we'll be back up in just about 5 minutes. Alright everyone, I didn't have a limit on how long the stream was going to be. I think we are going to wrap it up there actually. I think I do like doing longer form content, but I do think that what I don't want to do for people, I know I have to circle around a lot on my information and sometimes I go back and forth, but it takes a while to get through, but what I don't want to do for players when I'm playing is I don't want to get into a zombie state where I'm just kind of clicking around and not explaining everything. And I think we gave a great show in today, and that we covered a lot of stuff for new players. So this again will be one of the videos that I will go back and I will highlight. So don't worry about giving this video a bunch of views. Look for my shorts. Please leave a comment, interact with this the way you can. And don't worry, I can, this is the long form live content. I did some Twitch streaming in the past. I have my whole cooking episodes archived. My cooking episodes are archived currently on my YouTube, and I did all those live on Twitch. You might have heard me say that I was a bit critical of Amazon, and I've always been hesitant about trying to repopularize this game or to give this game any of my energy, because I don't want to help Amazon, you know? Uh, so one of the funny things I thought, I was like, hey, isn't that funny if I were to stream uh, Amazon's New World game, not on their Twitch platform, but just to make it popular on their competitors' YouTube. And I thought that I can get behind a little bit more, which is just a little bit of funny here or there. I know consumer consciousness, I know lots of people have opinions on things like that, and I am aware of them, and I think about those things, and I do my best to care. But like I said, we had a very, very focused show today. Lots of stuff for new players. I've been streaming on the Twitch. That has been archived up on my YouTube. A bunch of cooking videos. I will soon be releasing or making public my Brimstone Sands. Last I streamed, it was a Twitch stream. We did a Brimstone Stand released, and I believe my last YouTube stream of New World, I believe we did the Krakus event. And today is the 7th of March of this broadcast. There is this is the last day of the Krakus event. Let me, before I go away, I will show you some of the items that we got from those monsters, and then I'm going to take a nice little relaxing break for myself and enjoy some video games with the me time. So these are some of the weapons that dropped, and we're going to go ahead and pull these out because they just look so gosh darn cool, so why not? So these are really nice weapons, especially if you haven't gotten any of the rune glass yet or don't understand what rune glass is. So in Brimstone Sands, this used to be the best gem that you could slot into your equipment. Now you can encase things in rune glass, and it gives an extra damage potential. And the Krakus event, which was a week-long event, and you were supposed to be able to get each and every one of these rewards. I don't believe it was entirely perfect, but it was mostly flawless, which a game this size, again, I'm happy for it. And let's just equip some of these guys, because they do look super cool, actually. I think this is going to be the sword. That's pretty standard great sword. I think I really liked the armor. Let's take a look at this great axe. Pretty cool great axe. This is one of the armor pieces. Some mittens. But definitely the best part about these perks were the encased rune glass. So if you haven't had a chance to pick up a weapon with some rune glass in it, or haven't gotten a chance to experience, these are some great great items that you could pick up. Last chance today till 5. Patches. Incoming patch is about 11 p.m. So you have just a few more hours from this broadcast to maybe get a chance at a legendary item. Alright, folks. That was the last thing I was going to go over for the show. Thank you for my little rambly-dambly that I came here at the end. I will see you all next time, and hopefully we'll get some of these videos edited into shorts, into highlights of the video. Thank you so much for joining me during this time. I had a lot of fun. Please enjoy your New World experience and have a great time with the players that are here. It's a very fun MMO, and if you like dressing up your characters, if you like housing inventory, like, this is a game to explore, definitely to explore. It's definitely a game that you could get into the role playing. My character is the Took on the West server, El Dorado. We have all been moved here together. We're all on one server, one island together, and I am always been the kook of Monarch's Bluff. And I hope that we have some very good games in the future for everyone, and there is still so much more to go over this game. We only scratched the surface, but I wanted to really give some highlights on some things that can help players leveling up. This information I hope anyone of any experience found helpful. Thank you all so much for coming, and I am going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you all so much, and you have a great day.